Hey guys, welcome back to Tech by Ryan. It's been a little while since I made a video, I think about 7 years or so. But yeah, I decided to get back into things and I kind of moving my channel in a different direction. I'm going to be making some like programming videos and game dev videos. I've been working in the game industry for about 3 years now, and I've done anything from gameplay to back end like multiplayer platform development to AI and as well as UI. And so yeah, I got a little bit of experience, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So hopefully you find that interesting, and let's get started. So today I decided to start with something a little bit different. I was trying to think of a video idea, and I decided, why don't I make a little game? But then I was like, okay, what is the game going to be? And I thought, okay, what if I made a game idea generator and then use that to make the next few videos? And so basically, this video would be making a game idea generator, and then the next few videos will be me using that game idea generator and making the game that it gives me. And so, yeah, so I'm going to be using Unity for this, and Unity might be a little bit overkill, but since the idea is making game dev videos, I thought I would use Unity since most people are going to be using Unity or Unreal. I'll probably make some Unreal stuff as well. I mostly use Unreal for work, but since most people are going to be using Unity, I thought that I would make this generator using Unity so that I can at least teach you some UI and some, a little bit of just basic logic in C sharp, at least Unity C sharp, and how to interact with UI elements and stuff like that. I did a little bit of a mock-up, so while that's loading, I'll open up this mock-up. So yeah, I did a little bit of a mock-up, and obviously these colors are not going to be what the end colors are. I just wanted to have some color in there. So it will basically just be like a screen like this, and you'll have this section up here that is basically like the one-liner. I don't know. You know how when you're describing a game to somebody, you typically start with like this one sentence that's just a basic overview of like the entire game, and then we'll have a few subsections here. One will have the setting / environment, the rule. So the rules section will be some rule that kind of restricts how you're going to be doing things, or what happens when you do things. Just anything that kind of guides the direction of gameplay. Subgenre would just be it would be a, if we wanted some other theme other than whatever this a blah blah blah, whatever this thing right here, this subgenre will be a like an extra theme to this. And then the wild card is just going to be, it's just going to be random things. Okay, so Unity is open now, and what I'm going to do is what we want to do. Let's start just laying out things. So since this is all going to be done using the UI, we will just do game object UI, and we'll start with text, and then we want to use Text Mesh Pro. Yeah, so Text Mesh Pro just gives you a lot more functionality and makes things a lot easier to use. And so we're going to use that. And when you open up Unity for the first time and try to use Text Mesh Pro, it's going to give you this little pop-up. So we're just going to click the Essentials. So here you can see that it added a canvas, it added our text, and it added an event system. So the only one that we really care about is this text. So we're just going to go here, we're going to rename it, and I'm going to call it Game Idea Generator. Perfect. Don't want that last new line. And I'm going to make it bold, and I will make it centered and centered, and then let's just make it all caps. And you see that it's kind of compressed here, so we want to grab these corners. I'll do it that way. That way we can actually align it correctly. And then we want to press it all the way up here. Next, we're going to put we're going to duplicate this. I just did Control D to duplicate it. And I'll just rename this idea snippet. And this will be our title. Okay, so this idea snippet we'll move it down here. That looks about right. And this one we're just going to leave it empty, or actually, let's just put that sample one that I had before. I can turn off bold and underline and capital because we don't want that. So I'm going to do game idea generator, where you click a button and gives you idea. Perfect. And you can see it's going on to the next line here, which is fine. We'll have to deal with that later because our game, we don't know, because this is going to be randomly generated. So we don't know if this is going to be able to fit on the line or not. So we may have to deal with that later. But for now, I think we're okay just making it like this. What we can do though is take this here and now I'll add some buttons. So we're going to right click on canvas, go to UI, go to button, text mesh pro again. So I'll set this to save idea, make that bold, all caps, and I'll tell this one to be generate new idea. There we go, we have a basic one already, but I did mention that I wanted those sub infos, I guess you could call it. So let me just, I want to move these down a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is just create an image like this. And we can just make it color, and that works. And then when you go to the game, it actually just shows up as a flat color. So that will work for us if we just want to do colors. We don't actually have to put like an image in there, but we can later on if we want. So let me just position these in a nice place. I kind of want them to be rectangular. Center that. And then I'll just do 200 width, 150 height. Yeah, and then I'll just create 4 of those. So that will work. And then let's actually, I never set a background for our camera. So we can do a background for the actual camera, or on our canvas, we can place a background. There's a few different ways you could do it. The way I like to is just to go to canvas and add component and image. So you just type in image and it shows up. And we add that. So right away it's going to be a full-sized image, and we'll just make it black for now. Let me just, I'm going to create a empty game object. So this is just like an empty thing that has nothing on it, just has a position. And so I like to use these as basically like a folder. Yeah, and then I'll just put those up here, and we'll take all these. And then I'm just going to rename these so that they're make more sense. What happens now is I put all of these, all of these under the sub ideas section. So now when I grab sub ideas, I can move that and it moves all of them together. So I just leave that centered right there in the middle, and that's perfect. And so then under these images, I'm going to put texts. I'll do that for each one. Don't worry about not seeing it right now. It's only because the image is white. Actually, you know what? Let me just select all these using Control, and I'll make these like a gray. Select this one, and I'll call this setting. So these are going to be the headers for this. So it'll be setting slash environment. This one will be rules. I keep hitting enter. This one will be subgenres. I don't think I need that capital G. And then last one will be wildcard. And then I'll just add those for flair. You can see they're a little bit too big, so I'm just going to select them all and set the centered like that. And then I will make them, let's try 25. Nope, 20. I think that works. And then I'll just set the position on the Y too. So I made them height 40 and the position is 55 on the Y. And then I'm going to want these to be underlined and bold. I think that works for now. We can always change it. And then I just realized the white text is a little bit hard to read on the gray. So we'll make that black. I know it's kind of ugly. We can play around with colors later. You're free to do that as well. And then next we want to have another text under each one. So I'll just select each one and Control D to make a duplicate. And then I will name these. And now I can close that and it makes it much cleaner. So we've recreated this layout here, there. And then if we want, we can add a background to this title. And yes, I know this is ugly. That is only for now while we make something that works. I'm not a designer. I'm a programmer, or engineers, as they call it in the industry. There's a thing called programmer art, and it's basically just boxes. Because as a programmer, you don't care about making things look right. You just care about making them work. And that's why a lot of prototypes will just have, cubes that move around instead of, a fully animated person, because there's no point in doing that if you're just testing or if you're making something work. And then you hand it off to the artists and the animators and the 3D modelers, and they do that side, and that's their job. So I think this is a good position for us here. So now we're going to add the logic. And we are going to click on our Save Idea button here. And so to add logic to the button, like right now if we click play, we're going to see our screen and we can click our buttons, but nothing happens. And so now we have to add a logic. So if we click our Save Idea button here, we'll see this on-click event down here under button script. And this is where you add the logic for what happens. But we can't just hit plus here and then write something in here. We have to actually create a script for it. And so here, since we're only going to be doing one script, I think it's fine to just click to create a C# script right here in the assets directory. But typically you would add a folder, you'd create a folder and you'd name it scripts and you'd put it there. So now we have this new behavior script, and so we're going to call it idea generator script. And typically you add script to the end, or you add something to explain what it is. So I need to open this up. We'll double click here, load real quick, and so here we have our project open. We have our script. there are a few things you need to do. Since when we created that class, or sorry, the script, it we didn't name it right away. I clicked away from it, and so it named it new script or something like that. Because it did that, it automatically created the class inside of that script as the new whatever that name it gave it. So when we renamed it, it doesn't rename the class, and that's going to be a problem. And that's why if I try to drag the script right now onto Canvas, it says can't find script component idea generator script because the script class cannot be found. And it's because it can't find the the class called idea behavior script or idea generator script. So that's a problem. So I'm going to just rename this. And now I should be able to drag it onto Canvas. Boom. Now it's there. We have no issues. Good to go. So we go back to Visual Studio here. We don't need to use any of these right now, but what we are going to want to do is create a, well, one, we're going to have to store references to all these different things. So what we want to do, basically, we need to put a placeholder of where to store the reference of the individual script. So we need one for the idea snippet. We need one for the text on the settings. Or sorry, the where is it? This one right here. The setting text. We want to reference to that one. We need one for rules, for subgenre, for wildcard. So because we want to have one for all of them, we need to store each one separately. So here, we want to reference that it's called the Text Mesh Pro UGUI is the script name. So Text Mesh Pro UGUI, and we're going to call that. This one will be the idea. What do we call it? Idea snippet text. But you're wondering, oh, why is this giving us an error here? And it's because we don't have the Text Mesh Pro namespace. So we're up here where it says using Unity, we go using TM Pro, and there we go. Now it knows where this is because it's in the TM Pro namespace. So now we can do create a bunch of them. Boom. So now since we have one to store all of them, now what we can do is go back to Unity, and if we let it update, and because it's just one class, it's going to be very quick. So now when you go to Canvas and you go to the idea script, you're going to see, wait a second, where are all our things? How do we access them? And that's why we need to go right here and click public and type in public. And the reason for that is basically you're telling Unity that we want to be able to show this item to the world, to all the other scripts. They want to be able to see it. So now if we let this update, you'll see, did I save it? I need to save it, make sure you do that. And now when it reloads, you'll see we can access the idea snippet. But where are the other ones? So we need to put public on all of them. There's another way where if you don't want other scripts to be able to access them, but you want them to show up here so that you can put in references, and that's technically the right way to do it here. So here we go to select all the lines just so we can do it quickly, and I'm going to do serialize field and close that. And now what that means is this is basically like an attribute, and this tells Unity to show it in the to serialize it so that it's available in the editor here, but it's not going to show up to other scripts that try to access. So if we save that here, we go back, when it updates, there we go, you'll see we have access to all of them. So now I'm just going to grab the text and drag it in, and I'll do that for all of them. So now that we've selected all of them, we should save our scene so that we don't lose it. So now if we go back to Visual Studio, we have access to all of these. So what we want to do is we can get rid of these honestly because we don't need them for this project at least. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a few functions. We're going to call it we're going to do generate new idea, and we'll call another one that is save idea. So now we have two functions that can be called, and if we go back to Unity, we'll see that when you go to those buttons, remember how we were trying to add a function? So we can now tell it to we need to give it a class to look at. And so we want it to use this idea script, or this generate script. So if we go to the save button, we need to give it an object that has the script that we want. So I'm going to drag the canvas object there. And now if we click on where it says no function, you'll see the idea script generator, or idea generator script, sorry. And we can click, or we can put in the function that we want it to call. So you might be saying, wait a second, what happened to our function? Why isn't it showing up here? And that's because we didn't tell it to be public. So remember that if you want these to be available, we need to call them public. So now if we let this load, we'll go back, we'll see generate new idea and save idea show up. So this is the save idea button, so we're going to click save idea, and then I'll go back to generate, and here I'll do it this way. So if we click on the little dot, it'll show us all the things in the assets, but we don't want that, we want the scene. So I can click on the canvas, and this time I'll go to idea generator, and we'll do generate new idea, and then we'll save this. So now if we go to here, this is going to be called when you click that generate new idea, and this is going to be called when you hit save. And just to make sure, I'm going to go debug.log generate clicked, and then I'm going to end that and copy it and paste it here, and I'm going to do save clicked. So now we can go back to Unity here, we can hit play, and you'll see here if I click on console so we can look at it, if I click on save, see it wrote save clicked, and I can click it as many times and it'll write that, or generate, it'll tell us generate was clicked. So now we are responding to button presses, and if we click anywhere else, nothing's going to happen here. And we can leave that debug log for now, but for generate, what we want to do is basically we want to grab our idea snippet text, and we want to give it a new value. So we're going to grab we can do set text here, and in that we just pass in a string. So I'm going to do I'm just going to do test string just to test it out. And so now, because we have this referenced, this TextMesh Pro UGUI object, we have it referenced as the idea snippet text, it's going to modify this one. It's going to know which one. So now that we've done that, we've saved it. If I hit play here, and I hit generate new idea, look, it changed it to test string. Perfect. So that means we are able to modify that text. But we're going to want to do that for all of these, but we don't want to just write it manually. We want to generate the text from, we want to have a list of all kinds of different basically ideas, or so we're going to have a few different things. So we're going to have open a We're going to have genre. We're going to have action. We're going to have like an object. We're going to have a goal, basically, like that is generating our in our idea snippet. And you can see that on this sample one. So game idea generator is our genre. Action is click on a button, or click. Click is the action. A button is our object. And our goal as, and it gives you a new idea. So you can see that that's the general layout. And so what we're going to do is, what I've gone and done is I've compiled a bunch of different basically ideas of genres, actions, things. Did I call them things? I call them objects here. But yeah, things and goals. And these are all kinds of different ones. And it's just, these are lists of all kinds of different ones. And I've gotten these from a few places. You know, gone and looked at online, looked at other generators, because there are ones that exist. And then I found a few that I like. And so here's, if I go here to, this is one place where I got, there's a, this is kind of where I got that that list down here. If I go to that image, the mockup. So those, the settings, rules, subgenre, and wildcard. So I modify this a little bit, but I saw there's like this card game thing where it gives you some goals, rules, genres, environment, wildcard, and you can kind of just you throw them together. Kind of jump forward a little bit. So what I'm doing is I created a new class. So it's called database, and basically it's going to store some static lists of just like strings, and then when you can just request to get the genres, to get the actions, the objects, the goals. You get what I'm saying? So, and I just quickly whip something up just to test to see if I can do it like this. So basically, this class is going to have a static and list of genres. And static just means that it exists outside of like a class instance. That means it doesn't have to have, you don't have to create a new class or create it somewhere in the world for you to be able to access it. So it exists from the very beginning, and it exists outside of that. Because I'm creating it, I'm defining it like this, and then creating it a new one right away. It exists from the very beginning. So here I just kind of formatted it nicely, and I compiled those different sets of genres all into one. And then I just created a function that returns that list like this. So a list is an object, is a type of data structure basically, and you tell it in these little carets. You tell it what type of object. So you can do a list of hints, a list of list of floats, list of I can even do a list of some other things. So a list of idea generator script. Like, you know, you can give it any object that has some kind of data that's inside, that is a data type basically, and you can tell it to store a list of those. And so I'm telling it a list of strings. And so yeah, I'm gonna quickly go through and do this for the actions, the things, the goals. So we have one for all of them. So I went and I made a goals, things, and an actions list from those lists from here. And so idea is I didn't want to have all this inside the generator script because it would just get way too long and way too big. So I wanted to just do this once and never have to look at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to set up a string basically. That is the snippet, I guess. And we're going to be doing, we're going to get, or we're going to do database get genres, and then we're going to plus, and we're going to do like where you database get actions plus I don't think we need to do, so we'll do database dot things plus database dot goals. All right, so yeah, it's gonna give us some errors here. Actually, it's not. I guess having a list of strings that knows how to concatenate those together. But, and then we're gonna end up passing this snippet in here. So right now, if we try it, it's gonna be ridiculous. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a random item each time. And so what I wanna do is basically, we're going to So what I'm going to do is go over to the database, and then I already started writing it here. So we want to basically, we're going to create a new function, and we're doing it in here so that it's cleaner. Otherwise, we'll have to do it here, and it's kind of annoying because we'll have to make a call to this twice. So here, if I just go, I'll have to do genres, but with an index. And then what we're going to do is do random dot range, and in there we pass the minimum and the maximum. So the minimum is going to be 0, and the maximum is going to be the genres dot count. So that's going to grab a random number within from 0 to count, and it's going to pass it into genres index selector and give us a random genre. And we're going to return that. So what I want to do is grab this and make one for all of them. Okay. So we'll take, all we need to do is change this to actions, things, goals, and then we want to do it here too. So we'll want to grab those, actions, perfect. And instead of doing grab genres, we can change it to grab random genre and grab random actions. Perfect. Everything's good. And we can take this, run, and now when we hit generate new idea, we're going to get, you can notice a few issues. There's a space here that's missing and a space here that's missing. So we can go back and fix that. We'll just close that. So it's because I compiled the action with the random goal and the random thing. So I didn't add a space between there. So I'm going to just add another space, and then here I'll put like that. So I can just grab this and put that right here. And now when I run it and I hit generate new, a shooting game where you monetize insects repetitively. So we got that done. Basically, we already have a generator here, but I want to add this extra stuff just to make it unique and make it, my own. Okay, and one more thing that we want to do is not only set it to the uppercase, but I'm going to set it to auto size. And that way it's just going to fit the space. And so every time I hit play and I create a new idea, it's going to auto size the font so that it fits the space that we gave it. Now we want to set up these ones down here. So we're going to do the same thing that we did for this database here for these. Okay, so I went and compiled that list for the settings, the rules, the subgenre, and the wildcards. And I don't have as many, but the idea of this is that it just gives me a little bit more to go off of. And then we can always add more to this. For now, I think this is fine. And so I'm just going to go and do the same thing that I did here, but with these. So now that that's done, it's just done the same way that this was. So now what I'm going to do is set up for all of these to grab one as well. That is done. When I go back here, so now if I hit play, when I hit generate new idea, it's going to fill all the spots. Yeah, I mean, we'll basically have a working thing here. It's done. I mean, the only thing left now is to add the save idea button and to kind of maybe clean things up, change the colors around, do whatever you want there. So yeah, next is the save idea button. That's gonna be the last thing we cover today. So we want to add, we already have it connected to save idea. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna be taking the data that's in these and we're gonna be writing it to a file. I think that's our best way to go about this. So I implemented a quick version of the save idea button. So you can, I mean, this is, if you want to output it to a file, this would be a simple way to do it. So here I'm just creating a stream writer, and this is basically a class that lets you, it's in the system.io namespace, so you'll have to say using that. But basically this lets you instantiate one with a path, and you have to give it an actual file path, not a folder path. And I did true, which means that it's going to append it to the file. So if the file already exists, the next time I call this like a write line, it'll just append it to the file. And to start with, I'm just telling it to write a line with the text of this idea snippet, and then I'm just closing the writer. Back to Unity, and I hit play. When I generate an idea, and I hit save idea, you can see that if we go back to the directory, now there is a saved ideas text file, and if I open it, it says a role-playing game where you assassinate bards with the addition of zombies. And if we look, that's the same one that's right here. Okay, so I went and I added the settings and the rules, subgenres, and the wildcard, like heading, so that I know what each line is for. And then I also went and set all the strings to uppercase, so that when I save them to the file, that they're saved all uppercase. And so here's what it looks like. So I hit generate new idea, and I get a new idea. And if I hit save, it shows up here in the file. And every time I hit save, you'll see it shows up. I'll just close and reopen the file here. That it shows up and with nice separation. Now we have a fully working game idea generator, and I mean, all that's left to do now is make it pretty. You can play with the fonts, you can change the background around, you can add some pictures, you can do whatever you want. But I think this is a good place to stop. I think the video is already pretty long, but yeah. Let me know what you thought about this, what you would like to see down in the comments. And yeah, I plan to take this idea generator and for the next few episodes basically just click through it until I get something that sounds pretty cool and try to make it for you guys. So yeah, stay tuned.